Hey there, guys. It's Mia here. I am so excited. I'm so excited about this topic today. Today's topic is why high achieving women struggle to sell themselves. Actually, why those of us who have the greatest level of skill struggle to stand in our value. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to step on your toes. If you have not been standing in your value, charging your worth, you know that what you do, the transformation you provide is worth it, but you haven't conjured up enough confidence or bravery for yourself. And I am going to call you out on this live today. I'm Mia Red, business and life consultant. I started my company over 20 years ago. I've coached thousands of women, all from the comfort of my home. I started as a corporate trainer and at one point decided I wanted to go to work simply as myself. I wanted to take the best of what I was doing for others and I wanted to apply that in my own business. So I packaged it. Fast forward today, I've had the opportunity to support other women who wanted to do the same for themselves. They wanted to take what they were doing professionally and package that skill, their talent, their high level results for themselves and go in business for themselves. So I show women how to price their skills and their talents. I show them how to package their knowledge into a high value product that they can sell online or offline as a coach, a consultant, or via licensing, or maybe even establishing themselves as a top speaker or brand. I show them how to position themselves as the obvious choice and most importantly, how to close and sell because many of us are already in business and we're creating transactions, but they're not proportionate to our ability to create results or what other folks have said about us. So if you're ready, I'm ready. You're going to need a notepad for this one. And I promise you, if your feelings get hurt, this live today might not be the one for you because I am going to call you out if you haven't been standing in your value and charging what you are worth. All right. So let's just get started. I've got just 5 simple topics I'm going to cover today, and I know it's going to support you. And that's my goal, is to shake your shoulders today. All right. So here's the first thing that I want you to think about when you have been saying to yourself, like, you look at the work that you're doing and you're thinking, I'm just not making the money that I should be making relative to the echo of what clients are saying to me. They're telling me things like, wow, you've really changed my life, or I apply what it is that you've told me to do. And as a result of whatever it is that you've done, over and over again, you're hearing the echo of the results. However, when you look at your own bank account, it is not translating. Somebody write, is not translating. Let's change that. Number one, why high achieving women often struggle to sell themselves. Number one is that you've been taught, likely, to be humble, helpful, hardworking, but not to own your brilliance. Is that right? So there is this thing, and we'll just call it a disease for now, right? That a lot of really brilliant women really do struggle with saying what they do, that it's great. And part of it is because in your workplace, or even maybe at the start of your whole educational process and journey, you were always the person that you knew the answer, right? You were always the person that someone could call on and they knew and trusted that you would be able to catch the ball and make things happen. You can make that play. But sometimes when you are very talented that way, you struggle with like wanting to shrink because you recognize that other people haven't had the same opportunities as you. Or it could even be that you've recognized that there are people in your environment who want you to shrink. And so you've just kind of adjusted to that. So when it comes time for you to, and you're in business, to say what it is that you do that's great about what you do, you don't tell the full story. And I always tell my clients, you don't you're not telling the truth. And see, the reason that your ideal clients will want to work with you is because you have the capacity to hold a space for your giftedness. It doesn't mean that when you say what you do that's great, that you have an ego problem, or that you are a narcissist, or that you're this out of control person as it relates to your own skills and talents. It means that you are owning what I call your bigness. You're owning the things that are great about you. And the reason that your ideal clients are going to want to work with you is because you are great. See, what people invest in is transformation. What people invest in is certainty. Your ideal clients are wanting to work with you, but they need to be certain that you are for them. And they can't be certain if you are afraid, right? Because you're trying to be humble, right? And you're trying to mute your story and you're not telling everyone what kind of results you really do create for others. Are we clear? All right. So, one of the reasons that high achieving women struggle to sell themselves is because they have this false humility and it's not serving your ideal clients. That's right, I called it out. And it's not serving you. And you see it all the time. You may even see other individuals who are doing work that you're doing and they're achieving a lot of results. And you're thinking, man, I my background is so much more significant. I've had a lot more education. I've done a lot more in my life, and your ideal clients aren't coming to you. And the question is, why are they not? Because of number one, you've been taught to be humble, helpful, and hardworking, but not to toot your own horn, not to own your brilliance. And there is a level of discomfort that you have around telling your story, telling your truth story, because you recognize that it's significant what you've done. I've seen this often as happen with a lot of women and a lot of women of color in their environments. Sometimes they're the most educated, the most accomplished in all that they've done, and they walk into rooms where they're uncomfortable to own their whole story. But in business, it's different. You've got to understand that you've got to shift that. Your ideal clients want to work with you, but they're not going to want to work with you not knowing how great you are. And the only person that can tell the full story, the truth, is you. Are we clear? So if we are clear, I want you to write hashtag we are clear here, because today we're talking about why high achieving women struggle to sell themselves. It's something I hear all the time, every single week. Every single week, I work with women who are high achievers. They're smart, they're sharp, they're fully capable. They've created amazing results in their life. And yet, when it comes to sharing what they do for a price, standing in their value, many of them have compromised. They're charging by the hour, $150 an hour, $300 an hour, and they're creating transformative results for others, life-changing results, and they haven't owned it. And they can't figure out what the bottleneck is in their business. And I'm going to tell you, if this is you, you're the bottleneck. Okay. We need you to own your story. I need you to own your story right now. Okay. It starts right now. Number two, the second reason why high achieving women often struggle to sell themselves is that you need to understand that you're not invisible. You're just underpositioned. You're not invisible, okay? You are just positioned. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So, a lot of times when you keep getting passed over, let's say you're having a sales call and there's someone that wants to work with you, but they may also be talking to other folks, and they may say, I'll get back to you. And then you find out a couple days later that they're working with someone else. And you may hear that happening to you a couple of times, and eventually you start to question yourself. You're like, do they even see me? Do they even know what it is that I do? Do they even know my experience, my background, my giftedness? And like I mentioned in number one, because of your the way you market yourself, the fact that you're not telling the full story, they don't know. Okay. You may feel invisible. You're not invisible, right? Because all we need you to do is to tell the truth, but you're underpositioned. See, when you don't tell the full story, when the ideal client doesn't know from you what it is that you do that's transformative, that can change their life, because you don't want to beat your chest or you don't want to show the evidence, the proof, the real results. See, they experience you as inauthentic because you are inauthentic in that moment, right? If you have the results, why would you not share them? If you have the experience, why would you not mention it? And not mentioning it is under positioning you. Is this clear? All right. Are you guys following me? This is good stuff. And I told you that I'm going to shake your shoulders today because I want to talk about why high achieving women often struggle to sell themselves, and what I've seen over and over and over again. And it's It's amazing. These women come, they have multiple degrees, 20, 30 years of experience. They're leading departments. They're running multi-million dollar budgets. And yet when it comes to charging for themselves, they just are not, uh, aligned. They're not doing what they need to be doing. And often it's because they feel like they're invisible, but you're not invisible. You're just under positioning yourself. You're not telling the full story. So the ideal client that wants to work with you, that person that is looking for you, can't find you because your story is actually invisible. So when you start to tell the truth about what it is that you do, you become aligned. And I've built my business from scratch 20 plus years ago. And one of the things I realized was that if I didn't tell the story, no one would know. I always tell my clients there isn't this thing called show and tell. Remember, 5-year-olds in school would share something as show and tell. In business, it's called tell and show. I can tell you what I do, but I more importantly need to be able to show you that I've done those things. And it's the thing that I've done over the years in my business. I've never been one to say, I've done television at a high level. I've been signed to two Emmy nominated, nationally syndicated television shows. Anyone can say that, but I can show you the clips, right? I could tell you I'm an author of books, but maybe you never see the books, or I could show you those books, and then you know that I am really an author. I could tell you that just like the results that I create for myself, that I create those and transfer them to my clients, or I could show you by way of testimonials that we have hundreds of clients who've been able to go from charging by the hour to standing in their value and selling what they do for $5, $10, $20,000 up to $100,000 or more per client. I can show you those things. And my question to you right now is, are you able to show people, are you showing them what it is that you do? Because if you're not, it is the reason why you feel like you're invisible, but you're under positioning yourself. All right. This is good stuff. For those of you who are just joining me, I'm Mia Redrick. And what I'm sharing today, very simply, is why high achieving women often struggle to sell themselves. And what I've covered already is number one, is that you've been taught to be humble, hardworking, and helpful, but not to own your brilliance. And we're going to change that today. And number two is that you're not invisible. You're just under positioned. And when you're under positioned, they can't find you. The people that want to work with you, they don't even know why they should work with you because there is no evidence that you do what you can do. Does that make sense? Number three, the third reason why why high achieving women often are struggling to sell what they know is your pricing isn't about time or features or comparison. It's about transformation. And I mentioned this just a minute ago. See, your prices, a lot of people struggle around pricing because they think that they can look at someone else that's doing something with the same title as them and choose their prices. And what I've found over the years coaching hundreds of women is that most people don't know how to calculate their value. So if you copy someone's prices based on their title, right? You guys share the same title and they don't know their value, then you get that value. Does that make sense? And coming up with your prices isn't about a title. It's about understanding the value of the transformation that you bring to the table. I'll give you an example of a client who I've worked with, I would say the last 3 or 4 years. 3 or 4 years. And when I started working with her, she was charging by the hour, and she did not know how to negotiate big contracts. She did not know how to sell what she did for 25K or more. So as a result of me working with her and showing her how to package what she does differently, she was able to close her first deal for 25 grand. And then she was able to have that company sign that same contract over the course of the year 4 times. So she did over 6 figures for the very first time, she would do $25,000 the entire year. And as a result of us working together, she did 6 figures. Pretty big deal, right? What was going on in her mind was that she was thinking that charging by the hour and was the way to go. And maybe you've been thinking that too. I see it a lot with a lot of my medical professionals. You're so used to, making whatever it is, $250 an hour. When you start your own business, you think about it that way when you're approaching your coaching, your consulting, but it doesn't work that way. See, there are people who want to work with you because of the results that you can bring to the table. And I can tell you for sure that my clients come to me because of the results. That's what they come for. And they're not what I do for them, they actually can't actually pay me enough for. So for example, let me break this down and help you think about this for yourself. If I have a client, using this example, if I have a client who has been charging by the hour, so let's say she's been charging $150 an hour and doing the exact same work, right, for years. And as a result of us working together, I show her, instead of selling time, to sell based on the results. And she closes the contract for 25 grand, and it's not based on time. She's not selling time anymore. Selling time means that you are capping your income. It means that you can't work with but so many clients. If you're saying in 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week, how many clients can you take on when you're selling your time that way? Instead, selling your transformations that you bring to the client, the results. People that hire professionals, high achieving women who've invested tons of in their education, they've got tons of experience. They want the results, the transformations that you can bring to them. And when you start to look at what you do from that perspective, you know, you can charge a lot more because you're having a different conversation with the client. People who come to me because they want to go from charging by the hour to charging higher ticket for what they do. They want to not trade time for dollars, or sell their time is another way to put that. When I'm able to show them how to do that, that is not based on some hourly skill. They're going to do this for the rest of their life. And so paying me properly at a high ticket price makes sense to them because I'm showing them how to do exactly the same. I want you to think about what you do and think about it from the perspective of not selling what you do by the hour, but instead selling the transformation and the results really that you bring to the table for your clients over and over again. It's just a game changer. Number 4, we're talking today about why high achieving women often struggle to sell themselves. And number 4 is why women who implement my pricing strategy are closing 4 to 5 times their current rate. So I'm going to use this example. I have a client who is a hairstylist. And so you guys know, typically a hairstylist, you go to your stylist and you pay that stylist by the hour. I mean, not by the hour, but by the service. And so her standard services were $200 to, let's say, $350 was the standard service, right, for most of the clients. One of her goals, which came to me, was to work 30% less behind the chair, actually servicing clients. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to increase her prices, right? But it wasn't just raising her prices. It was for me to help her understand the level of transformation she was bringing to the table for her clients. She's very niched in terms of the exceptional results that she provides her clients. And her book is in demand because of the kind of hair solutions that she provides that are custom to a client. So one of the things we were able to do was go from charging $200 to $300 per client to charging $3,500 for one client. That replaced like a bunch of her clients, 10 clients. I want you to think about the power of understanding how to sell what you do completely differently than maybe you already have. See, when you're not thinking about results and transformation and you're selling a service or you're selling in time, I have a lot of people who come to me and they have a package already, or they think they have a package, but it's actually a service. And they're so steeped in selling a service that they don't know how to get out of this game of selling a time or charging more for what they do. I know I just called you out, but there is a way. And I wanted to use this example for this particular client because she's a hairstylist. And I think that, most of us can relate, most women can relate to going to a hairstylist and paying between $200 and $300. And imagine in her scenario being able to charge her clients $3,500 for a select group of people who want this result. So now she can work less behind the chair. She doesn't need as many customers to replace her income. Pretty amazing, right? It's a different way to think about what you do, and yet it is available to you no matter what it is that you do. All right, number 5. The fifth thing that I wrote here, oh my goodness, this is good. If you don't know your value, the client won't understand it either. So one of the reasons why high achieving women struggle to sell themselves is that if you don't know your value, why your price is the price that it is. Like if you don't know how to calculate your value for the transformation that you bring, the client's not going to understand it either. And that's why often your prices are low and they stay low, because when they're low, people aren't going to question the price. Does that make sense? So if we go back to the hairstylist example, I have this client who is charging $200 to $300 per client. That's easy to have a conversation with a client around. Now, imagine then deciding to create a completely different service. It's a higher end service for individuals for $3,500. You have to understand the value of the transformation that you're bringing to the client in order for you to walk that client through that. It is not just about increasing your fees or doubling your fees, because, if you don't believe it, the client's not going to believe it either. And one of the things that I think is my sweet spot is helping my clients really be able to see what their value is, to be able to stand in their value, and to be able to calculate those prices in a way that they understand why the price is the price. Because if you don't, you're never going to be able to walk your client through why you're charging what you're charging. Does that make sense? And it's the reason why often I find that a lot of professionals don't increase their prices, or they keep them low, because it's their level of comfort. It's like, who am I to charge, $5,000 for this? I don't know, like what? And I'll tell you the other thing about really brilliant people is that we often give away things that we don't count. And I know that you're already doing this. So somebody write amen in the chat. A lot of times when you are naturally gifted, the truth is that you are doing things for the client that you don't count, because it's just part of what you do at a high level in terms of solving problems. People who have invested in themselves in tremendous ways and who have tons of experiences have also a different way about solving problems. And a lot of times when you don't consider those things, you don't get paid for them either. Does that make sense? All right. The client must understand the value of the transformation that you're bringing. And that means every aspect of what you're bringing to the table. Does that make sense? A lot of times when my clients are working with me, and they bring their ideas and I coach them around their ideas, but a lot of times the highest level transformation I bring them is the consulting. It's the thing that they weren't thinking about at all. That is the missing key for them to be able to stand in their value and to charge more, or to be able to sell at the highest and tallest level, or what should go inside of the package. It's something they've never thought of. And likely the same exists for you, but you aren't counting it because you've discounted what it is that you do for the client. And because of it, it's the reason why your prices are low. Number 6. We're talking today about why high achieving women struggle to sell themselves. And the sixth reason is the problem isn't your skill, it's your structure. And I can tell you this for sure. Would love to share with you, if this resonates in any way in this conversation, a business. You can book a call for a business breakthrough session with me or a member of my team. But I'd love to share this with you. The problem isn't your skill. The problem is your structure. And when I look inside of so many businesses week after week, what I realize is that the way the businesses are structured, that it basically is impossible for you to be able to generate the kind of money that would allow you to get free. I think that when you create a transformation for others, that if their life is changing, your life should change. And if you're not standing in your value and charging what you're worth, you're not going to be able to sustain the giving. That means that, and you may have experienced this, you're in this business and you're like, but it's just not sustainable. And it's not sustainable because you're not charging what you need to charge, or you can't scale and grow because you haven't stood in your value. You're not telling the full truth. See, the problem is not your skills. It's not that you need to go back to school and get another certification or anything like that. You likely need to structure your offer differently. You likely need to know how to structure your pricing and your value stack differently. You likely need to know how to structure the way you're positioning your marketing to attract the right people the very first time. It's likely the structure for your sales process, which might not exist at all. I understand that. It may be that every single time you are speaking with your ideal customers, you say something completely different. And I can tell you for sure that the reason why high achieving women struggle to sell themselves has a lot to do with structure. And most often, there is no structure. Sometimes you have a month that's really great. Sometimes you have a month that's not so great, and you can't figure out why or how it happened. Does that make sense? All right. But structure in the business, understanding the proper ways to package, price, position, and to sell what you do is what will allow you to change everything in your business. And if that's something that is of interest to you to figure out, then I encourage you to book a business breakthrough session. You should see it somewhere here on the page. I just posted it on the screen. And or you can go to miaredrick.com, and at the top there, you can always just click the link and book a session. And there we'll help you identify for yourself where the gap is. Is it your pricing? Is it your package? Is it your marketing? Is it the way you're marketing? Is it your process for selling or finding buyers? What is it? And when you understand those gaps, usually the light comes on. And it's the reason why so many of my clients who are implementers have been able to go from charging by the hour to being able to stand in their value and sell things that they've never sold before, for $5,000 or more to $100,000 per client. It doesn't take a lot of time to learn how to do it, but you do have to know what those gaps are in order for you to own your value and your worth. I hope that there's something that I've said today that has supported you. I'll open the floor for a second. If there are questions, then I'll answer those. Did you guys get value, or did you get value? And if you are watching the replay, I would love to hear your questions or see your questions and your comments as well. I love being able to support women with standing in their value and telling the truth. Because the reality is that there are people out here right now who need exactly what you do. And the only person in the way of those individuals having access to you is you. All right. I want to thank you for your time. I'm Mia Redrick, business and life consultant. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. I'll talk to you soon. Are you interested in packaging your knowledge into a high-ticket product on or offline? If your answer is yes, the Giant Experience is for you. Here's my story. I got started in my business over 20 years ago, and I simply made the decision to go to work as myself. And maybe you have been wondering how you can take all of those years of experience, your knowledge, or your degrees, and put them to use for yourself, and to package it into a monetizable structure. That was me 20 years ago. I wanted to figure out how to take my background as a corporate trainer, and I realized that so many women wanted to know exactly how I was able to write best-selling books, and having done partnerships with both Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies and get signed to media, Emmy-nominated and nationally syndicated television shows as the mom strategist. And so I decided to equally transfer what I knew how to do to them. And I built out a coaching practice that today has coached thousands of women just like you who are ambitious, smart, and sharp, highly actionable, go-getters. And they wanted to figure out how they could go to work for themselves.